The Islanders may have spoiled the night with an overtime victory, but Logan Stankoven is making his presence known. He is everything and then some. Let's jump into it next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer, a 105 Through the Fan, and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Howdy, Stars fans. What a thriller last night at the American Airlines Center. The Islanders, however, spoil the party with another overtime victory and another overtime goal from Bo Horvat. That one certainly stung, but I want to come on here and celebrate Logan Stankoven because he has been so good in his first two National Hockey League games, and I will not let the Islanders spoil this party. Even though the Stars do drop another overtime game, it's their 9th of the season, played in their 18th overtime frame. It's been busy this season for the Stars. Once again, they've been a bit better in that area, just did not come to fruition here yesterday. But Stars got to move on because they take on Colorado tonight. A late start, 8:30 puck drop. We'll preview the Avalanche, and hopefully the Stars can find a way to grind one out against a very important divisional rival. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Stars fans, never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code Locked On NHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. So we open up the show once again with Stankoven, Stanky, as I will call him from here on out. And boy, he's so fun to watch. And he's such a complete player. I can't believe I'm saying that 2 games in to his NHL career, but he truly is a complete player. He plays 200 feet. The battles that he endured yesterday, especially on the walls, the board battles against Barzal a few times, against an Islanders team that likes to grind it out. They're physical, and he just stands in there and he gets the job done. He has such a high level IQ at his age. At 21 years of age, happy birthday, by the way, scores his first career National Hockey League goal in the American Airlines Center. Boy, that place was buzzing. Shout out to anybody that was at the AAC last night. It was buzzing. The standing ovation for Stankoven on his first point, which came on the power play goal for Matt Duchene, his 800th career NHL point. And then Stankoven with the game-tying goal. And it was an electric atmosphere. Unfortunately, Stars could not pull it through, but Stankoven is here to stay. He's here to stay. This makes Jim Neal's job a lot easier here. In the next few weeks, you can move on from some of your assets and you can go out and get pieces to win you a Stanley Cup now. And Stankoven is going to be a huge part of this playoff run. I truly believe so. You found someone to pair with Jamie Benn and Wyatt Johnston. That line looks really good. The best they've looked since really the first month of the season, where they got off to a really nice start. And truthfully, the majority of that was just because of Wyatt Johnston and the tear he was on, because even Jamie Benn wasn't that productive, but he makes that trio really dangerous because him and Johnston can hold on to pucks. Jamie is not forced to defend as much because Stankoven is a willing defender. He closes out. He wins a lot of battles on the sidewalls. He's patient. He looks for his opportunities. He's a facilitator, but he's getting his own looks. And he gives the Stars a much needed depth piece that can truly, truly score more than somebody like Ty Dellandrea, who has been playing good, but it's just not what the Stars are looking for. Stankoven, individual offense, this is via Hockey Stat Cards, 1.51 in the game yesterday, highest on the Dallas Stars. Highest. He had the second highest game score at 1.08, expected goals for of 0.76. Only Harley had a better number in that category. Just played over 14 minutes in the game, and boy, he's everything. He's everything. He really is, and it was a shame he didn't get as much overtime playing time there late, but he's going to be freakish when it comes to the 3-on-3 extra frame. It's truly just his world at this point for the Stars. And yeah, they're falling on their faces here in the last 5 games or so, but he provides a really nice spark. The Stars are still in first place in the Central Division. Yes, Winnipeg has plenty of games in hand, but you have a crack at them here on Thursday. You just got to push through the rest of this month, and the schedule gets easier. Everything will open up, and this also leads me into my other point here to open up this episode of Locked On Stars. I'm okay at this point with the Stars maybe drawing Winnipeg or Colorado in the first round. And the reason I say this is because the Stars are dealing with injuries. Hakanpää is almost back. It looks like Nils Lundqvist is almost back, but you have Seguin, who's now week to week. It was relayed that it was a lingering issue, a lower body issue, and he just couldn't take it anymore in Ottawa. And I bet that was a tough decision because he's been having a fantastic season, and he's pulling himself back in order for him to be healthy enough come April. The Stars just need to get healthy. At this point, what can really, really deter them from having a great spring is going to be health. You're going to have to go through Winnipeg or Colorado to begin with. You kind of have to come to that fact. And yes, I understand you want the easier path, but you're going to have to go through Colorado or Winnipeg at some point. At some point during your playoff run. If that has to come in the first round, then it has to come in the first round. But I'd rather the Dallas Stars be fully healthy and have all their chess pieces ready to go than limping into the playoffs with lingering injuries, whether that's Duchesne, who we saw with a lower body injury a few weeks ago, Seguin, Hakanpää, Lundqvist, you name it, whatever it is. Be fully healthy. That's what's going to give them the best shot to win the Stanley Cup. Plus adding a defenseman or maybe 2, which we'll get into in just a moment. But Logan Stankoven needs to play every day, needs to be up with the Dallas Stars. No reason to waste him anymore in the American Hockey League. Not that you would be wasting him, but he is way too valuable because he's cheap, first of all. He's cheap. And boy, does he look every bit of the part. What a night for the 21-year-old on his birthday. Scores his first career National Hockey League game. First career National Hockey League goal, excuse me. God, he's so good. And as I mentioned, his high-level IQ is astronomical at his age. He plays a bit like Pavelski with, of course, better skating. Like, he gets in front of the net. He battles. He drew a penalty right on top of the crease. I believe that was in the second period. He doesn't shy away from contact. He is a real good good hitter in terms of separating man from puck. He wins those battles more often than not. And you just have to be thrilled with what you've seen out of Stankoven in his first 2 games. Taking a look at some more of the numbers in the contest, the Stars, they did play really well, especially in that third period. Oh, they dominated. Ended up outchancing at the Islanders at 5-on-5, 8-5. 8-5 in the third period. Ended up outchancing it in the game 28-26. There was points in the game where Dallas was just being outworked. And then as the game moved along, especially the third period, the Stars started to outwork New York, and they got rewarded for their efforts. Unfortunately, not in goals, but they got a lot of opportunities. Sorokin was so good. Once again, Sorokin kind of stole this one. I mean, it's another point. Yeah, you felt like you deserved to win. You would have loved the 2 points, but points are points at this point in the season. They really are for the Stars with just how much they've gone through recently. You just have to accept it, and it sucks. It really does. It leaves a pit in your stomach, but you just have to be okay with it and move on. You can really right the ship here with a few wins against Colorado and Winnipeg, and you won't even think about this overtime loss if you're able to pick up a couple of wins. And tonight's going to be really hard. It's going to be hard. I mean, this is another really tough spot. Otter is going to have to steal a game for you, and hopefully you muster up enough offense. That's and you hold on for dear life when number 92 is on the ice because he is very good, of course, Mr. Nathan Mackinnon. Okay, let's move on to the Dallas Stars being aggressive. 32 Thoughts podcast. Elliotte Friedman, Jeff Merrick threw out something yesterday on their podcast about the Stars being very aggressive. I'll tell you a bit more in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Sleeper. We're past the halfway point in the season, Stars fans, and regardless of where the Stars are in the current standings, they are first place in the Central Division, by the way. I want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Pick the studs of the world like Nathan Mackinnon, maybe not for tonight because he is way too good. I meant to say 29, not 92. Apologies for the mix-up on the number there. I'm tired. A lot is going through my mind today. You can pick the studs of the world, though, and record more or less on Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, or more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. And you heard me correctly, Stars fans. You could win 100 times your bet playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention, nail your picks, and you could start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDON NHL, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDON NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and with location availability. Be sure to check out Locked On Sports today. It's also available on the Amazon Fire TV app, in the free Fire TV channels app, as well as YouTube. Locked On Sports today is here for you 24/7. Covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts on Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports today, now available on free Fire TV channels apps. So, Elliotte Friedman threw this out there yesterday in the 32 Thoughts podcast, which I felt and was very intriguing. I felt it was very intriguing stuff because, of course, talk came up revolving around the 2 defensemen of the Calgary Flames and Chris Tanev and Noah Hanifin. Tanev has been rumored to be linked to the Stars multiple times throughout the last month, but he mentioned that he's heard around the league from different sources that the Dallas Stars believe they can win the Stanley Cup, which is good because they should, and they are going to be very, very aggressive. That was the word used, the adjective, if you will. They are going to be aggressive. That makes you feel really good. I think that can put you all to ease, Stars fans. Stars are going to be aggressive. They could even, in fact, look for a right shot and left shot defenseman, which is something that was also brought up in the pod, which I would really be in favor for. You could see a totally different looking second pair or even third pair in the next few weeks, depending on what the Stars do. And the great thing about Stankoven, as I mentioned, is he's cheap, and now he makes it a lot easier to move off a piece like Ty Dellandrea, right? Who's probably going to be the kicker in one of your deals if you want to get Chris Tanev, Hanifin, Sealer, Walker, whoever it is. You're probably going to have to throw in somebody like Dellandrea, who will be a restricted free agent here at the end of the season. He's making $900K, but Stankoven is making just under that. He's cheaper. He's going to be more valuable for you moving forward, and he still has a couple of years left on his rookie contract. So you save some cap space where you can make moves in the future if you're unable to get the job done, or if you do, you just want to go all in again, so to speak, to make future moves. And that's what makes me feel really bullish about the Dallas Stars moving forward. Man, they have to be aggressive. And I've said that the last few days. They need to go out. They need to get a defenseman. They need to fill in some gaps. And then when Lundqvist and Hakanpää come back, it's an embarrassment of riches. If Lundqvist deserves to play, he deserves to be in the lineup. If Hakanpää is not playing up to standard, you can put him out. Unfortunately, the Stars have been in a place where they can't really hold the defenseman accountable, so to speak. They've been able to hold Lundqvist accountable just because, frankly, he's young. And they're not going to bench Suter, of course, and they're not going to bench Lindell or healthy scratch them. Not that they deserve to be, but look, a veteran has a longer leash than first-round pick that's still trying to find his way in the National Hockey League. But Lundqvist has made big strides. Now you have a chance where you can put your best lineup forward if you do go out and be aggressive and get somebody like Tanev, or go grab Sealer or Walker to pair them together at the deadline. And with Stankoven in, he's valuable, he's cheap, he gives you a lot more room to make things happen because you're not worried about your depth if you have to get rid of somebody like Dellandrea. Well, you get Stankoven to fill the role. Even if you had to get rid of anybody else, so to speak, if it was a Sam Steele or a Craig Smith, I'm just throwing that out there. Well, you do have Maverick Bourque. Maybe he could come up and who knows what happens. And this is me getting way, way too far ahead and maybe me just playing GM and just getting carried away. I don't think the Stars will do that because they have a lot of great NHL ready forwards. And I think this is the club they kind of want to run with. This is the forward group, at least. Their four lines, because they've shown to be really, really good throughout this season. They're just trying to get healthy. And this is without Sagan too and Dodonov. If they can just get healthy, they're going to be really good. They're in a really, really good spot. And yes, I want them to win the division. And I'm still on the boat that, yes, win the division, make it an easier path. But I don't want to win the division at the cost of injuries or having guys play through nagging injuries that could prevent them from being at their best when it really matters. That's kind of where I am. That's what's going to hold them back if they're just not fully ready to go. And that happens to all sorts of teams. It happens every year, frankly. Some teams are just beat up. And look at Florida to some degree, where they were just beat up by the time they got to the Stanley Cup final, because you just take wear and tear. So you got to be able to get through each and every round. And maybe that's going to be a grind in the first, but you're going to have to take down a good team either way to get the job done. Speaking of a good team, Colorado Avalanche nipping at the heels of the Dallas Stars. Dallas in Colorado tonight. Central Division rivals. Stars. Avalanche in the Rocky Mountains. Let's talk about it next in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Camino Consulting. Our sponsor once again today is Camino Consulting. You've heard of our online families and couples course and taken advantage of the Locked On 25% discount running to the end of the month. But what about live seminars? In both sport and business, the challenge in differentiating candidates and recruits is an endless battle. Everyone can demonstrate their measurables and qualifications, but we all know it is the intangibles that matter when those things are similar. Speaking of intangibles, Logan Stankoven has intangibles. Contact Camino Consulting for their team and management seminars to get a peek behind the curtain. Maybe Stankoven is going to Camino Consulting. Who knows? Watch your next recruiting class or hiring group become one of the most effective you've ever seen, both because you've identified the right candidates and because you've learned how to communicate and motivate them in accord with their own preferences. But you aren't in business management or working with the team. We pay referrals. Make some money making your workplace and favorite teams better. Every group works together better at the end of the year one than week one. So contact Camino Consulting at caminoconsulting.ca and get that task fast-tracked to get understanding. By the way, tonight's game is on ESPN Plus /Hulu again, so you cannot rely on Bally Sports Southwest. Stars are playing a lot of national TV games here lately, and I wish they were in full flight. It's a late start to 8:30, by the way. 8:30 on ESPN Plus Hulu. Of course, you can catch the hometime broadcast on Sirius XM, by the way, 8:30 puck drop. Just search Stars on Sirius XM on the SXM app to check out the hometown broadcast. Okay, speaking of the Colorado Avalanche, Nathan Mackinnon, who I mistaked for number 92. I don't know why. Anyways, flip-flop. 29 is going to hit 100 points very, very soon. He's just been incredible. He's coming off a 3-assist night against Toronto in a loss. Oh, God. He is another one of those guys that makes you sit on the edge of your seat because he can score at will. And if you can stop him and Rantanen and Makar, you give yourself a really good shot. But those three are very, very hard to stop. They're going to be interesting moving forward because Georgiev's played 48 games now. He's 30, 14, and 3, 8.98 save percentage, 2.92 goals against average. They're probably going to be in the market for a netminder. And of course, the Stars have had a few leads on Colorado this season, and they've just completely botched them in both cases. Had the 3-0 lead earlier in the year and got scored 6 unanswered, and then they had the 2-goal lead with less than 10 minutes to go. Miro got hurt. I don't even like thinking and reminiscing about that one. But Colorado's really just being carried by McKinnon and company. 35, 19, and 5. They have 75 points in 59 games. Stars at 60 games this season. They've played the most in the Central Division. They have 79 points. So the Stars are clear of Colorado. It's Winnipeg you have to be careful about. I mean, they're good. They score a lot of goals. They're just ahead of Dallas in terms of goals per game this year, 216 total. They've been scored on 188 times, which is about middle of the pack. Special teams is pretty good. Power play at 23%. Their PKs at 80. Those are both above league average. And I mean, you just have to find a way to slow down McKinnon. He's more than likely going to pick up a point, but can you limit that to just a point and find a way? It's a tough spot. It really is. I'm not very bullish on tonight. I'm really not. To be completely honest with you, I put a lot of stock in yesterday's game. It really, really stunk they couldn't pick up an overtime victory. Even though I'm in the big picture okay about it, it just it leaves a pit in your stomach not picking up the 2 points. And then I really wouldn't care as much about this game, even though I will. And I'm going to be yelling at my TV more than likely because Stars need to bow up. They just got to grind it out again. And we've seen it. They've really buckled down in some spots this season. And hopefully they live up to the task against their Central Division opponent and try to get the job done in Colorado. Oettinger will be in net for the Stars tonight. Maybe Stankoven can continue his reign over the National Hockey League. It's the honeymoon phase right now for Stankoven. Should be a thriller tonight. Can't wait to talk about this one tomorrow night. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. Shout out to all you everydayers out there rocking along with me. It's been chaotic recently. Injuries, Stankoven, wins, devastating losses. It's been a little bit of everything. No other way I would want it. Trade deadline right around the corner. It is heating up. The playoff push is on. Stars need a win tonight. Keep pace. Keep their gap in the Central Division. They are first place, by the way. Not a big deal. All righty. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy today. Enjoy Dallas Stars hockey. We've seen a lot of thrilling games recently. Hopefully we're in store for another one. We'll break down the game tomorrow. We'll talk about it. We'll dissect it, and we'll move on to Winnipeg on Thursday night. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.